but I hear you guys loud and clear. I think the thing that I think about a lot, and I've been thinking about the last few days, but been thinking about a lot the last year or two, is just like how goddamn lucky I had to be, and I was, to get into esports, right? Like, you guys have been here longer than I have, but when I jumped in like 2013, 2014, the guys and gals I was meeting were awesome, right? Like they helped me out with no reason to help me out, right? Like, I remember I was at BlizzCon in 2013, ran into Victor from Liquid, right? And I was like, hey man, like I really want to make a difference. I want to try work in the space. Like, do you have any recommendations, right? He was super willing to help. Like, Steve from Liquid was super willing to help, right? Even people who were like goddamn assholes to me, like I remember the first time I met Richard Garfield way back
Alex Garfield, maybe?
Oh, sorry, Alex Garfield, yes, way back in the day. He
glad that wasn't me. That was when he said. I remember when I first met Richard Lewis. I was like,
no, but like,
you had to be blocked before the end of the conversation.
Yeah, here's the thing, right? Like, and I'm going to be honest here. Like, we got there. I met these titans of the space who have been around for a long time. I speak Korean, so I was able to go to Korea, right, and like talk to some of the people out there. Okay. That required a lot of luck, right? And I think the thing I gotta say about, and to address your point in particular, right, that is a form of nepotism. The way I made it into the space, the way that anyone is making the space, like, you can say you worked hard and you pulled yourself up by your bootstrap, but nepotism goes more than one way, right? It's also that, hey, like, you met someone, they like the cut of your jib, they like how
I'm nepotism, man. No, I'm gonna shoot you down there, Seb. That's networking, bro. That ain't nepotism at all.
Here's the thing I don't get, dude, is what you're saying now. You didn't have luck. You made your own luck.
Yeah, exactly.
You went to BlizzCon. You tracked down fucking Victor from it. You said, hey, I'm not a nutter. I just want to get in the industry. Then you went and you thought, wait a minute, I know Korean. Why don't I go to Korea and talk like, mate, you're doing exactly what, by the way, the people who want to get in esports, I'd suggest listen to this part. This is better so far than the fucking test. Just listen to this last 5 minutes.
I just want to be clear, man. Like the thing is, like, those things, right? Like, being like, if you have to know someone to crash on someone's couch at BlizzCon, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's an expensive place to get to. Like, I lived in LA and it was expensive to get out there, right? Like, you have to, like, the gas to get to Anaheim is a lot of money, and it's not money everyone has, right? And so I guess my point was, hey, I know you guys aren't huge fans of these guys, but I'm a huge fan, and I'll stand by that. I think they're actively thinking deeply about, like, try and move the space forward. Now, I get that they're not all the OGs that you guys are used to. I also get that everyone's a flawed human being. I'm a flawed human for sure.
I'm pretty sick myself, but speak for yourself.
Not all of us can be you, my guy. Not all of us can be you. But I certainly
hence why you need a certificate.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
I didn't need one. Rolled out the womb ready for this motherfucker. Keep going.
I don't even know what those words mean, by the way. Just as an aside. Like, I don't even get that reference.
$1,000. I'll put you on the advanced course.
Hey, just send me a Venmo request. I stand by those guys and gals for sure. I understand that if I could redo it, Richard, just to address your specific point, I need to do a lot more work and a lot more groundwork to, like, reach out to the right people and to get more into.
No. Because listen, right? I'm gonna like just insert myself here and occupy this, right? Because we're going all around the fucking houses. It's not about you need to, like, go out and kiss the ring. And find the right people and involve all the old school people. Yes. I know there'll be a lot of people out there that are conflating, like, oh, it's Thorin, it's Richard, it's Monty, bunch of boomers who think they run this shit.
We're the gatekeepers, right?
Yeah. Yes. Like, no. So I'll just address what you said about how hard it is to break into esports. Frankly, that's the biggest load of shit I've heard in a long time. As an industry, it is incredibly welcoming, and I know this firsthand. 17 years working in it. I'm not talking about the good old days of when anyone could wander in. Guess what? Anyone can still wander in. We have a deficit of enthusiastic volunteer workers, which, by the way, all these fucking companies still exploit while creaming money out of this thing, right? There's a ton of that going on. You can go to any event anywhere in the world and you can be talking to a star player or a star member of broadcast talent or a tournament organizer or an admin. Everyone makes time for you. Everyone is accessible at all levels. The idea that this is some sort of opaque nightmare to break into doesn't ring true. And by your own experience doesn't ring true.
No,
our biggest problem in esports is actually that we don't gatekeep enough. That is the problem. And that's why we're in the fucking mess this industry's in now, where it is a bunch of greedy American VC profiteers have hijacked something that was not built by them, and they're now thinking of all the wonderful ways they can monetize it, get a return, cash out, and the fucking consequences of that be damned. That's the real truth. And anyone who says different isn't on the same planet as me.
Hey, man, I might be on a different planet than you then, just slightly. Because I'm going to be real with you, man. I don't think that that's doable for some types of people, right? Like, and I think those types of people have spaces in esports, right? Like, not everyone is like, Richard, you talk to people. You're good at talking to people. You can go to events and talk to people. But it's, there's a bunch of blokes out there who are so great specifically at sitting down and modeling, right? Like doing the math behind, trying to make sure that you get those numbers back, right?
And who's gonna turn down great work in an industry screaming out for talented people while it's on the road?
These guys, right? These guys.
Of course you can. You don't have to go to an after party and fucking be suave Hugh Hefner walking around in a fucking dressing gown.
No, I mean
you've got email now. Everyone leaves their fucking DMs open,
dude. You know firsthand this, right? You see how many messages you're getting through. If you're getting 1,500 messages for one role, how are you supposed to identify? Well,
that's the law of averages. You can't solve that problem. If a role is highly desirable and 1,500 people want to apply for it, giving them creating a certificate doesn't alter that. Like, I mean, it might act as one layer of filtering.
Get the certificate?
Yeah. Like, I mean, that's a good question, right?
And we just moved the thing one step forwards, except you've got $400.
Yeah,
right. You got.
So we can talk a little bit more about it in a bit, but like, I just want to like make it very clear here because I think this is an incredibly important point. I agree. There are a bunch of charlatans in this space. They're like running around yelling at people, and they're very charismatic usually. They can sell you a shirt. That's for sure. Because by the way,
some of them are on your advisory board. By the way,
hey, I'm not. I don't think so personally, but I'm willing to disagree and fight for the guys and gals who trusted in me. Right.
That's absolutely fine. You absolutely can.
No,
it doesn't alter the facts.
I'm just saying I respectfully disagree with that. But here's my point, which is right now in the space, there are two problems I think that we're somewhat conflating, right? One problem is I think we all agree with, which is we got a lot of people who don't know what they're talking about esports. They don't know about digital entertainment. They don't know about sponsorship. They don't know about any of this stuff. And they're trying to get jobs out of the space, right? And that sucks. We got to figure out that problem. I think one of the biggest issues with ECI is that it conflated this other problem that I think is also a big problem, which is there are people who don't like talking to people, who can't afford going to events, who like are really good at like statistical modeling, for example, who I think we need in this space. And we're not finding a good path for them because we keep telling them the same advice of like create content or like go to the events and like strike up a conversation with Richard or Monty, etc. Right? Like I think we need to solve for that. Now, I'm not saying that this was the solution for it. It clearly wasn't, right? Like I don't want to say this like 100 times today, but like this was not it. This was not it. That's on me. I just thought it could be a solution. It clearly wasn't.
Fair enough.
But I want to know who these people are in esports that when young people approach them wanting to get in the industry, they put the barriers up. Because I consider myself to have a moral obligation every time I get an email, right? To read it, look at it, and make an assessment. All of the people I've hired, by the way, to work on things like my YouTube, all the stuff I edit, my stream, they're all endemic people that reached out and said, "Hey, do you need this? Do you need that?" And I said, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's have a go." And you can ask anyone who works for me. I massively overpay them, way more than I have to, because at the end of the day, I have a record over like 10, 15 years. If you work on a project with me, I want to see you get to the next place because that's what's good for the industry. Now, it's not for everybody. Some people drop out after a year or two, but like I don't know a single person who's in a position like me, right? Like or a Duncan or Monty, similar positions in the industry that would tell a young person to go fuck themselves or just wouldn't reply or just wouldn't care, wouldn't treat them with any respect or dignity. I do know a lot of executives like that.
Richard, I wanna tease two things apart. One, much love. I think paying people is definitely correct. Just FYI, right? Like hope no one that's that wrong. But my point, though, is it's really hard to see the unknown. It's hard to see the unseen, right? It's hard to see because what you're saying is like, and I see this too. If you reach out to me on DM, if you email me, I respond to everyone. And especially the people, like every single one, I read every single thing. And I know that's exactly what Monty does. I'm sure you guys all do that stuff too. But here's my point is that there's an entire group of people out there, right? Entire type of personality, the type of person who can reach out like that. They're not meant to be salespeople. They're not meant to be content creators. They're not meant to be people who talk to other people. But they still do a lot of good work. And we need more of those people in esports because they're the ones who are going to, like, in the back room when everyone's quiet on the business side, they're going to want to be like, hey, John, I don't know what to tell you this, but this number is bullshit, right?
How does the certificate help that?
So that's the thing. We clearly screwed up the implementation, right? I want to be clear.
No. Forget implementation. Don't like.
No,
I see what you're doing. I'm an interviewer for a living, sir. I know what's going on here. So let's go back and answer the question. The actual premise of a certificate. How does it help people overcome social awkwardness?
Yeah, the idea was that the group of people who would take the certification were not the same group of people who would be living on Twitter or reaching out to people. The idea that we can reach out to different, like partner with different organizations, different communities, different universities, different programs, people we've had actually conversations with, to basically be like, hey, help us identify that person who's in the back corner who wants to work in esports but doesn't think they can because they don't feel comfortable reaching out to the Richard Lewis's of the world, right? That was the goal. And we had a lot of failings with that goal, but I still believe in that goal and that certification because then here's a person who has no followers on Twitter. Here's a person who doesn't have a YouTube or Twitch following, but they can be like, look, I know I don't have these things. I know I couldn't get to BlizzCon because I live in Des Moines, Iowa, but here's how I committed to this. I studied, I took this test, I passed the test, let me in. Like that was the goal. Again, I know I sound like a broken record, but I hope let me know if I'm not addressing your question, by the way.
No, I think it does have value, and especially in like data analysis fields and everything like that. I get it. And also I think that there's another issue here too, which I think is good about your program, which is that if you are the bridge between university programs, and I have been an enormous advocate, like I don't talk about this a lot, but I have actually spent a non-trivial amount of time basically speaking to universities. And what I push towards the universities is because what they think they need to do is have an esports program where they train the next generation of athletes like you would with the NCAA, like basketball or football players, right? Sure. But the real goal is you take the retired players and you educate them to put them back into the industry as with business degrees or accounting degrees or production expertise. And the biggest need that we have is not a funnel for professional players. It's a funnel for people who are actually functionally able to have good professional skills in the industry. And in this case, what you're saying is that if you can help the orgs and people who are hiring identify key traits that they need, and then work with the university programs to train them and then provide the certification as the bridge between the initial, the kind of entry-level hires and the skills that people require, I don't think it's bad. That's the thing.
The premise is all right in that sense, right? Here's my problem though. Again, basically, you're talking to some people who literally read press releases for a living, mate. And so when we see the buzzwords, we read between the lines and we try and infer, reverse engineer, what are you going for here? So I'll give you an example. You yourself did it on Twitter of something that to a layman sounds like you've actually addressed the problem. So the initial problem is the price point, right? So someone's going to see it and they're going to go, $400, but I don't even have any money and I want to work in esports, so they're going to say it's a scam, right? So then the obvious reply is, no, it's okay. We're going to have scholarships and we're going to partner with programs. The problem with that, mate, is that again sounds great, but as a cynical person, I go, like Richard, I look at some of the names and I go, these people have run a lot of dodgy initiatives in esports. I go, that's the gig. I'm an idiot. It was never to get everyone to pay $400. It was to get a university to pay $400, and then you go through that. So listen, if there's one thing, especially coming from the UK, mate, a country that essentially, despite what you might think about capitalism, a lot of aspects of it basically are socialized in that regard. Like universities just take money from the government, that is taxpayer money. In some cases, they give it to esports initiatives that are non-existent and never will do anything, just pissing millions of tax. So that fear is another thing. That my back gets up as soon as I hear it's going to partner with programs and they'll cover the cost. Because again, it's like, unless it's legit. If it's legit, it's legit. By the way, if it was legit, maybe it should cost $400. If it was like a real thing, to establish that I have a basis in law or something, that should cost thousands, So like that's one area I was concerned about. Obviously, you're explaining some of it.
No, but Thorin, you're completely right, man. Like that's the problem. Like there's a great Kurt Vonnegut quote where he's like, you should have if you don't have skepticism, I don't want to know you, right? Like that's the sort of the like TLDR of that. But no, you're completely right. 100% right. That was what was messed up about the messaging, by the way. And I think this is right because like there's no way to walk it back. I can't prove to you other than have you talk to some of the people, and you might not even trust those people, right? Like because the people, my entire thing was like that was the plan, but like there's no way to prove that to you. And given what we've seen in esports over the last, at least I mean, Lewis has been in for a lot longer, but like what I've seen, my default would have been, no, this is a goddamn scam. Right, my default would have been like, this is awful, right? And I'm so
why
mad
isn't
at
it
myself.
a scam?
Huh?
Why isn't it a scam?
This is why I love Richard Lewis. Keep going.
That is the most serious question.
It's a real question.
Yeah.
Look, if it actually does what's supposed to do, it's not a scam, right? If it's supposed to be a certification and it provides the value and it helped really good people get into the space, then it actually did its job of reducing the number of quote-unquote charlatans out there. If it did its job, then the price point is justified, right? The price point is justified, okay. and the university access is justified, just like it is for other certification bodies.
Yes.